The phrase consumerization comes up. What do you guys think of? Like Web 2.0 consumerization. Do you think of blogs, wikis? Do you think of RSS? What comes to your mind?
Faster speeds.
Faster speeds? That's a first one. iPhones, yes. Faster speeds, first one, I heard that. Anything else? Collaboration, does that word come to your mind? So it's about iPhones?
And
Personalization. Great one. So, hold on. This is going to be the worst talk ever. Yay! At Forrester Research, we are a market and high-tech research company. We do a lot of, my coverage area is application security, software security, so that's why I'm here. And we talk to a lot of user companies every day about what they see and what they use in terms of different technology solutions. So application security, in fact, is one of the increasingly popular areas. You know what? This is not going to be working. So.
Can you just email it to me and you can use my laptop? Can you just put it on a USB stick?
Yeah, well, it's not recognizing the USB stick. Something about the projector messed up my computer. It's not even. Okay, so. Okay, I'm trying to log on to the network. So. Anyway, so we see consumerization, meaning that the adoption of, oh, there we go. Now we got it. Okay, whew. Thank God. So we see consumerization as a disruptive force in enterprise computing. And this is potentially the second time in modern computing history that consumer technologies are driving innovation, more so than military and enterprise applications. So can anybody remember the first time this happened?
PC.
Great, the personal computer movement. The personal computer movement liberated enterprise users from mainframe and gave individual users like you and me the power of computing. And we see consumerization as an equally disruptive force. Okay, now I'm trying to copy it. You know, I was here like half an hour earlier too, trying to get things set up, and it's not working. Okay, removable disk. Hello? Okay, there you go. Here. Okay, sorry. So we did a survey last year of collaboration technologies being a software initiative of companies. And we asked about over 2,000 enterprises as well as SMBs. We asked them how important collaboration is to you. And you know what? This is not working, Daryl. Thank you, though. It's just.
You double-click to open that USB drive?
Yeah. So I have the USB drive is messed up. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drive this from my laptop as much as I can, and we'll yeah, just flip around. I'm sorry. I am sorry about that. So we asked over 2,000 SMBs and companies about how much they want collaboration technology as a software initiative. Ooh! All right, this has disaster written all over. I don't know whether you guys can see, but so okay. Let me put on top of this. So anyway, what you see on the screen here is the Forrester definition of what consumerization and Web 2.0 is about. There are 3 circles. In the middle is what we call enabling technologies. That includes AJAX, XML, OpenAPI, everything that you need to build Web 2.0 applications. And in the middle circle, that you guys can see as well, the middle circle are applications that build on top of these technologies. Those include RSS, blogs and wiki, everything that you probably use every day and you hear about every day. The most outer circle to me is the really interesting one, is the virtual phenomenon arising out of using these applications, such as the more willingness to accept software as a service and newer social structures and more willingness to collaborate. These are what I call the behavior shift out of using these consumer technologies. And you're seeing this behavior shift first happening in the consumer arena, and now it's gradually moving into enterprise. One of my favorite examples, I don't know if you guys can see, this is a picture of the book Eragon. I've read that book. How many of you have read that? It's a fantasy novel. It's written by a 19-year-old, and it's a bestseller. Anyway, the reason I use this is it's got a pretty good internet following. So one of my favorite examples of using consumer technologies to actually foster new market came from Random House, the publishing house, a pretty traditional publishing house. What they have is they have a book widget that they give to bookstore owners, and you can load this widget in your PC. And what it does is every day it pushes from Random House the top selling books in your zip code to your desktop. Okay, top selling books in your area. And for the bookstore owners, that is business pertinent information delivered to you at your fingertip every day. And then when you click on the widget, like this is one of the screenshots of the widget, when you click on it, you could read an excerpt of the book, you can browse other titles by the same author, and you can order new inventory, increased inventory of certain books right from the widget. So it's not just an information publishing widget, it is it's an e-commerce portal as well, right? For the bookstores, you can see the clear benefit. For Random House, they found a new viral distribution channel to give marketing information to their business customers. And this information is not easy to get to them in a traditional way, right? You could send them a pamphlet about what the top selling books are, maybe once every month. And that can probably just end up in the recycling pile. Or you could publish this information on your website and hoping that the bookstore owners will come and browse the website. But that doesn't happen very proactively, right? And same thing with like online banking. I do all my banking online, right? The rate I go to my bank's website probably once a month at most, and sometimes I don't even go that often. And if they want to advertise a particular new banking service, the channel of communication from them to me is very limited. They send me stuff in the mail, I just toss it because I don't do anything in the mail anymore. and I don't go to their website that often. The only way they could get to me, the banks, if your banks are not doing it today, they have a team of people are looking at this very actively. They're looking at embedding a widget in Facebook, in iGoogle, and they're looking at how they can get information to you in a way that you will actually look at. Is it about the last 5 checks that you've written and cleared? Is it about pending transactions, about your current bank balance? And on the side, when you click on the side, they may have some advertising of new banking service. That's what everybody in consumer business is talking about.
Have any banks started actually doing that?
Yes, some European banks are actually doing that. There's one bank in Poland actually did this, and I talked to a lot of banks in New York, and they're looking at this very actively. You know, they may not doing it today. One of the big hurdles of not doing that is security. Okay, so, and this is about the survey we did. We asked over 2,000 SMBs and enterprises what the rate of adopting consumer technology is. In particular, we asked about collaboration techniques, and over 50%, nearly 50% of everybody we surveyed say they can invest in collaboration technology in 2008, and that the survey was done the end of 2007. 50%, that's not a trivial number. And people are building very serious applications on top of consumer collaboration platforms. EasyJet, it's an airline, right? EasyJet built a crew portal on top of collaboration. It's a SharePoint plus a little bit of their own code. Build a crew portal on top of collaboration platform. And this crew portal is mission critical business to them. It tells the flight attendants and pilots, you know, when your next flight is, where to go. It's really core to their business. AMD built a global partner site also on top of consumer collaboration technologies. And this site allows partners, global partners, to share inventory information, product reviews, and everything that, if I have excess inventory, I can share it with another company that may want more of the inventory, and they can do real-time exchange of information. Many companies are building really mission-critical applications on top of these consumer technologies. This is one of the example I use in terms of what are the new ways we can do enterprise computing. Right? So you can't see this very well, but the idea of this is a team of people distributed across the globe. And many of you probably work in that kind of environment. Right? I have a team of my security analysis team is about 7, 8 people, and they're distributed across the US, and we have 2 in Europe. Right? If you were working in a truly distributed team environment like I do, probably spend a lot of time on the airplane. I spend my life on United, I will say. And you probably spend a lot of time on the phone, right? But one way we could do this is imagine the people in the close by time zone can conduct their team meetings over web conferencing, which you probably do. But the content of the web conferencing can be saved in a blog entry or YouTube video, okay, if you do video conferencing. And the blog entry, the blog can be a team blog that every member subscribe to using RSS, okay? And people in far away time zone who can't make the real-time meeting can get notified, can use RSS notification to know that there's a new entry just been entered into the blog. And the next day when they come to work, first thing, they can look at the blog and understand what people talked about in the team meeting, and maybe there's some action item they need to take. And you know, our partners can also subscribe to the team blog, and they can look at certain entries that are useful to them. And we can use iPhone to sync calendars and do calendar invites and whatnot. Every piece of this technology already exists today. Okay? I don't know anybody who does enterprise operation this way entirely, but it is happening. It is happening in ways that are very subtle and maybe a little bit slow than what we think it is happening, but it will happen. So instead of using these traditional enterprise applications such as Excel and Microsoft Project and whatnot, we'll be using these consumer applications, iPhones, RSS, blogs, everything that you probably use outside of business context, and gradually you use more in the business context. So perhaps when I go to my local Starbucks, and this is what I see when I open up my laptop, iGoogle, instead of seeing this, I may be seeing embedded widget in the iGoogle to look at my corporate calendar, to sync calendar, to look at the Siebel databases. Everything we do, like all the interaction we have with our clients are recorded in Siebel, right? And I hate Siebel interface, but this, in fact, when I went on training, the first 2 weeks, we did 1 day of Siebel training. The first thing the instructor said, you will hate Siebel. I just tell you right now, but you have no choice. And instead of, yeah, I know, very sticky, right? So you imagine, all our interaction for the last like 6-7 years are in Siebel, right? You can't move that. You just can't move that. It's very sticky business model. Anyway, so write your software with really bad interface, and then you ask your customers to give you money for training and all that.
Tell us how you really feel.
Anyway, so instead of using the clunky VPN to access Siebel, maybe there will be a widget front end to give the information to me through the Siebel database to my iGoogle interface. Maybe that could happen. And all that is you have to deal with people outside of your organization, perhaps. So you have to deal with different consumer portals, technologies, and different devices. So what that is making somebody who's operating the backend database or the enterprise infrastructure, making his job a little bit more difficult, right? Because he has to worry about how to open up a proprietary database and to be able to put a web services front end to talk to the different consumer front end technologies, right? Like iPhones and like, So what this is really put a standard web services in front of your traditionally closed enterprise information, be able to share that through standard consumer interface. Okay. But not everybody's doing that. In fact, only minority of companies are doing that today, because the first thing they worry about is security. When we talk to CIOs, the first thing they raise about Web 2.0, about consumerization, is what are we going to do about security? For one thing, they don't understand the complete implication about security. And second, they do know that attackers are looking at Web 2.0 as a potential opportunity for data theft, for entry into the enterprise boundary. And one of the fundamental impact of adopting these consumer technologies really is the further dilution of enterprise boundaries, right? So you can't just close your infrastructure any more than what you could before, even less, right? You have to deal with consumer front-end portals out there, and there's just no boundary you can draw. So now we come to what we're really here for, is about the security risks. This is fairly new data coming out from Google. What you see is several researchers in Google analyzed over 66 million URLs with the span of March 2007 to I think the end of February 2008. Okay, this is published in March. And they looked at percentage of those URLs that are considered either malicious or potentially malicious, meaning that they may have malware or they may participate in distribution of malware. And that percentage in I think March 2007 was 0.3% of the over 66 million URLs that they crawled, okay? And the same analysis in the end of February 2008 was 1.3%. Okay, there was a 1% of increase, right? And when you look at that rate of increase, I don't know what the rate it is right now, but it's probably a safe assumption it has further gone up, okay? And that paper went on to analyze some of these new malicious sites and looked at why they're considered malicious. Turns out a large percentage of those websites that are qualified as malicious are legitimate websites that have been compromised in one way or another to participate in malware distribution. So in the past, malware is hosted in what we call dark side of the internet, right? Things like gambling sites, porn sites, and they're still on those sites today, but they often, the first thing you get to as a consumer, you get to the legitimate site, maybe a bank or maybe some news site, and that site will be compromised with a very small code injected onto the website to, in the back end, redirect your browser to a third-party site that may download these malware. And in fact, a few days ago, I was looking at a Chinese news agency site because I do my research online and whatnot. And I clicked on a link, and there was a flash in the background. And the window just went away. And I was like, oh, what is that? So I looked, and there was a process was installed on my computer that wasn't there before. And I don't know what it is, but I didn't have time to analyze it, but I'm pretty sure that's not something I want it to be running on my computer. And that kind of things happen all the time.
Maybe that's why you weren't able to get the promo.
Well, maybe that's why. Yeah, yes, maybe that's why. So that was like the day. That was like the day before I left for my flight here. So I didn't have time to test and
Yeah. Do you have, just real quick, do you have any research on of all the domains allocated out there, what percentage is allocated towards not necessarily malicious, but not well-intentioned sites?
So that's difficult. I mean, this is probably representative. This is URLs, not domains. You're looking at domains, and I don't have that particular data, but I think if you look at domains versus URL, you'll see a probably similar percentage increase in there. So this is, yes?
The infiltration of what was once presumed safe sites, is that now coming through infected clients that then upload the infection to these now safe sites, or
well, sometimes it's so when we talk about Web 2.0, one of the primary things is about the client side has a lot important role to play. They can contribute content, they can contribute in actual computing, right? Instead of just coming to browse information. So yes, there's sometimes they're due to infected clients who then the server has put inappropriate amount of trust in the client side, hence the server is compromised. But a lot of times, actually more than not, is it because the server code had a vulnerability in it. The web application had a vulnerability in it.
Was hacked directly.
Yeah, it was hacked directly.
Like
Yeah.
Business Week.
What?
Like the Business Week.
Yeah, and this so this is a similar example, right? So what you're looking at is a Italian bank, Fedora, I can't pronounce the name. This hack was discovered, I think, in February 2007 something, and they didn't know how long it will actually existed on their site. You're looking at a user login screen, and it was discovered back in 2007 that an iframe, invisible iframe, was injected onto this web page. And because it's invisible, so visually there's nothing you can tell. You couldn't tell anything was wrong. But when the user enters user ID and password, the information was captured by the iframe and sent to a server in Taiwan. Okay? And they didn't even know how long it was on there. The way it was discovered was really funny. One of the guys used mobile interface to access this bank. And the attacker who injected the iframe didn't do an automatic resizing of the iframe with the page. So what you see, if you look at it from a mobile handset, you see sort of misaligned, a little thin frame there. And this guy, for whatever reason, called in to customer support and say, hey, you know, this kind of looks weird on my mobile handset. And then they did the investigation and they found out that there was a invisible iframe. So if this guy didn't call in, it may still be there today. So the reason is this kind of thing happen all the time, right? And this was the way this code was injected was that they exploited a cross-site scripting error, okay, and then was able to inject code. So I think the slides will be accessible from the website. Yeah, so if you guys can't see the back, you can get the slide later. And I also have actually I have a landing page on my company's site to download this. I'll show this in the end. And most time people attack these websites is about data theft, right? This is the latest data we got, 2007, 2008 rate. You may not be able to see it. For payment cards, just credit card number, it's about $3 to $5 per credit card number you can sell on the black market today. If you have what they call full account information, which is more and more now, the full information is about your name, your address, your birth date, your social security number, everything you need to get a credit card, okay? And including, most people don't know this, including your mother's maiden name, the color of your first car, the name of your first pet, whatever the knowledge-based authentication question the banks have, right? So there is no protection if they are able to get the full account information, they essentially become you, right? Unless your bank does something like biometrics authentication, which US banks don't do. And that kind of full account information goes about $200 to $300 per account, depending on how deeper the pocket is, the account, right? So if you're a private banking customer, probably go for more than that. And think about it, on average, $250 per account for those attackers. How many account numbers do they have to get before they can retire, right? So this is somebody's retirement plan, okay? So they are in this they're in this really for profit. And then there are a lot of things like eBay account is up for sale, even credentials for online gaming site like World of Warcraft is also up for sale as well. You can find those. So basically, these is talk about the high-level things of how that highlights application security, because increased attack surface, meaning that you can attack client side as well, and also the server side, because AJAX programming exposes more the interfaces on the server side, so it gives you more points for attack, right? And this is well known, right? And developing Web 2.0 application in a secure way is very difficult because you have asynchronous logic you have to deal with. You have, whatever the client side, you cannot have control, but you rely on client side to do a lot of computing. So the testing is really more difficult. So traditional trust model is broken. Basically, traditionally, you trust the client to do things for you, and now you cannot do that. So this is how are we doing on time? Because we wasted a lot of time on the, what? 10:35, okay, so we're supposed to finish in 10 minutes. I can do this, okay. So this is just a message. Security, because of the trend of adopting consumer technologies and using Web 2.0 applications is more and more pervasive in enterprises. Security, application security needs to be baked in rather than painted on. So this is a really old graph that I took from a 1970s software engineering textbook. This is, I don't know if you guys have seen this. This is written by Casper Jones, right? And what he says was, I don't know if you can see, there's a green graph that has a huge bubble in the front and tapers off. And the x-axis are development, I think unit testing, function testing, field test, and post-release. So this is about the software development lifecycle. He didn't have the design phase in there, but that's starting from development. The green line says about 85% of all flaws, security flaws, come up through development, okay? 85%, and there's a little bit in the testing. And the yellow line says how much vulnerability you actually fix in the different development lifecycle, right? And turns out very little fixed in development, a little bit more in unit testing, a little bit more in field test, and that probably more is discovered between post-release and field test. And when you assume this shape of the yellow line, you're looking at this red line as the cost of fixing vulnerabilities, meaning that the more you push back into the post-development life cycle, the more you're paying, okay, to actually fixing it. And this is very telling, right? What you can do is take this graph and you change the shape of if you understand the relationship between the yellow line and the cost line, which is red, you can change the shape of the yellow line. Look at if I fix more things in the beginning, how that will affect the shape of the red line. You'll see the red line taping off. And that's actually a research that I'm doing today is trying to survey different companies and deduce a mathematical equation, if I can, between the yellow line and the red line. So no reason, I don't have to go through. The number one reason is just to fix it before somebody else finds it and gets your user data. And so this is a life cycle graph that we often use when we go talk to different companies. And it's still a fairly coarse division of life cycles, but it starts from design and architecture and develop and QA test and operations. So the message is that operations has to be part of the application lifecycle, because a lot of people talking about secure development lifecycle, they stop at release. When I release the software, I'm done. But you're not done. Right? Either you or your customer have to deal with the operation side of what to do with vulnerabilities. So for each of these cycles, we have different recommendations of what to do. So the first, for the design, you have to do design reviews. Threat modeling, design review. I'm not going to go through this. You can look at on the slides. There's a little bit more detailed recommendation there. And for development, it's very important to do code review. Very important to have code analysis tools, such as source code analysis tools, to help you understand what vulnerabilities you may have. If you could catch them as they arise, as the developer's typing and as they arise, it's a lot cheaper. In my, one of my customers has a very startling figure. It's a networking equipment vendor. So they sell an equipment, and if they find something post-release, they have to send an engineer out to fix and install the patch. That's $30,000 per bug for them, $30,000. If they find something in testing, before they send it over to the customer, it's $3,000 per bug. If it's during development, it's $500 per bug. So it's $500 versus $30,000. So it's no-brainer. But this is a pretty one-sided figure. What this doesn't tell you is the 5 minutes. Okay. What this doesn't tell you is the loss of opportunity cost. Like developers have to spend time on this versus pushing the code out the door. So there's a little bit of loss of opportunity cost, which most people don't take into account. So we should look at that as well. Anyway, so this is specific code development guidelines. Since you're all technical people, you don't need to tell you that. And that's about testing, using fuzzers, using fault injection, using both automatic code scanning tools as well as manual testing, manual penetration testing. And post-release, once this application is up running, what should you do? You're no longer in development mode, right? You're in operation and maintenance mode. If it's a web application, consider using a web application firewall if it is web application, because it allows you time to react to vulnerabilities that may arise, right? I have a customer who did a code scanning on the existing web application and found 30,000 vulnerabilities. 30,000, right? And he's like, oh my God, what do I do? You know, where do I even start fixing it? And the approach they decide to take is put a web application firewall in front of this application and basically just allow all the known good inputs, everything else they're blocked. Right? So that's how they begin to attack this problem. Eventually they need to fix these vulnerabilities, but if you only have, I don't know, you know, you have a few days, you have to get this blocked, that's the way to go. I'm sorry?
What the proliferation of web application firewalls is?
So how many people using them? I don't have a percentage number for you, but I can tell you that from last year to this year, we saw about 20–30% increase on our inquiries. People called in about web application firewalls and which vendor I should go and how I should operate it. So I don't know whether that's representative of the entire industry, but that's one data point for you. Daryl, do you have a? No?
Is that really the only solution for that type of a problem? Where you identify that many issues?
Well, so I think it's a best practice. I don't call it as you know, put a web application firewall on it and then you can forget about it. I don't think that is what you want to go. A web application firewall can, one, buy you more time to fix vulnerabilities. Second, it can actually allow you to regulate traffic in a way that's more amenable to your business operation. For instance, you can, people don't do that today, but if you operate a large website, you can look at whether you can accelerate certain connections from partner sites that you do more business with versus others, and you can look at you know, how popular a particular interface is, particular application is, and do business analytics. Those are very important things that the web application firewall can actually allow you to do that. There was a question here.
I'm not sure it's the right time to ask it.
Okay, we'll finish it. So no, that's maintenance, and I'm not going to go through that. So one of the things that we get asked a lot is about black box scanning. Okay, that's by far the most popular way of dealing with application security. Not the source code analysis, not manual code review. It's automatic black box scanning tools. Okay, how good is it? Do you guys have an answer? How good is it, automatic black box scanning tools?
30%.
That's about right. So if you look at the universe of all security flaws, vulnerabilities in your code, this is about as much you can find with a white box. I would say maybe 50–60%, maybe.
Wow.
Even if you get there. Well, if you do it well, yeah. And that's about how much you can find with black box. About 30%, okay? And there's a little bit overlap, okay? Now in this overlap area, however, it's often more efficient to find it with a black box testing tool than the white box tool. But this is as much you can hope for, okay, for using these different tools. And my recommendation is to use both because they look for different things. They will find you different things. But if you rely on a black box scanning tool only, you're out of luck. And most people do that today. So I want to get to something that's kind of interesting. So this is one of the maturity model that we developed to measure how mature an organization's application security program is. And this is reactive. The first level is reactive. You found a vulnerability, you know, something being exploited, and you rush to fix it. And the second one's a little bit more proactive, but on selected projects. And the third one's more universally adopted. And the fourth one, center of excellence, meaning that, you know, everything's integrated. You have you know, metrics for success. And there's nobody today in here. There's nobody. We talked to a lot of people. There may be a handful, less than 10 organizations in the you know, proficient, but most people are actually in the middle of level 1 and level 2.
Actually, there's somebody on that far side. I'll find out.
Okay. Well, I got a somebody said maybe somebody is in this, so I'd really be interested in finding out how good they are. So I'm not going to go through this. So one of the predictions we have is application security, right? So everybody's writing applications now. You do mashups, you get components from the internet, and every time you go to a website, there's maybe some other codes executing on a third-party website. My prediction is you're going to look at program reputation, okay? Just like reputation that's been used for source IPs who send you email and websites who may behave badly, you will be, down the road, we'll be looking at code reputation, okay? A snippets of code from line, how good it is, how potentially bad it is, not just a 0 and 1, but a gradation of scores. And that means there has to be a way to recognize maybe some invariance in the code, right? So there are already companies who will tell you, will scan your code and tell you what open source components you have in the code and how much vulnerabilities there are in the open source component. And that's already, 1/3 the way there. So we're looking at, I'm pretty sure, code reputation will be something down the line. So look out for that. Hey, yeah, reputation. And it's very possibly this reputation may live in the cloud. Okay, there will be some repository, either some industry consortium or I don't know, something like a national vulnerability database equivalent to that, where the code reputation lives and there's a body of people that are responsible for updating that. And very possibly you go to a website and there will be an inquiry into the reputation cloud to tell you how secure, how safe it is to actually browse this website. And I'm not going to do this. So these are some information sources. But here's the, I know you guys can't see this, but it's Forrester.com, www.forrester.com, Forrester with 2 R's, Owasp NYC 2008, all one word. That's where you can download this slide deck. Okay, well, I was told we have to be done. So if there's any questions, come up to me and we talk to this. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.